I'm Jose.
I'm Levon Lux.
And we are 2 Most 1.
Ta-da.
Ta-da, we're here, we're queer, and some of us are not used to it.
We are back.
Back with the attack.
For better or for worse. We're in this now. We're on a roll. So proud of us.
Yeah. It's kind of weird to think of as, I don't know, we're doing this.
Yeah, because we've been talking about starting a podcast for so long. We
Yeah.
finally freaking did it. All right, so when we have the video footage for this, you guys, it's nips galore.
Oh, yeah,
Nips galore. I don't know
Nips.
what's up with this episode, but we felt like just going all out. I was hot. I was like, oh my God, am I going through perimenopause? I'm not there yet. I'm not ready. I'm like sweating for no reason. So it's tank top it is. I took my sweater right off.
I'm low-key sweating just a little bit, but I have a full closet of clothes and nowhere to go with it. And I was like, oh, wait, we have a pod to show it off.
That's right.
And so
The clothes want to come out too.
they want to come out and play.
Want to come out
Just
of
like
the
my
closet.
nipple. Aw.
Ooh, nips. All right, interesting episode today. This we came up with on the fly. This was not planned.
No.
This was not
no,
noted. This was
no.
not detailed. I
No
had
details
a whole
whatsoever.
slew of topics for us, and we completely sidetracked and dove into.
Yeah, because so when I was editing, I don't know if this is too meta, but when I was editing episode 3, and we were talking about the bro code or codes in general, and I at the time I'm watching it and I'm thinking, wait, I did break a bro code. I didn't know that I broke a code because I didn't know the code.
The horrors.
Right? And
Shame.
so, and then I thought of how I broke that code, and I thought, oh my God, that is horrible. I really broke it. I really fucking broke it.
So this turned into. This episode is now Code Confessions, because after Jose told me about his breaking of bro code, I realized I have also, on more than one occasion, broke the code. Shame on me. Shame on
you.
us. In our defense,
Oh my God, did I just shame you? I just said
You were like,
shame on you.
as if you just didn't. Like, bitch, what? Like, you started this.
I don't know her. I've never done such no
Never
thing.
met you. In our defense, we were in our 20s when we did this.
Young.
And I'm
early
holding
20s.
on to that defense because
You hold
that's
on
the
for both of us.
only reason I was immature and I did the wrong things. But okay.
Okay, so is that what you stand by? That you were immature?
I stand by that I was immature. I would not break the girl code now. So I broke girl code and boy code, but we'll get into that. I want to hear about how this even started tonight. Let's get into you breaking bro code.
Okay. Is everyone settled?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
In.
So I was in my almost mid-20s, I think. I was like 24, 25. No, was it? Yes. Sorry. Yes. And I had just gotten out of my first relationship. It was an emotionally abusive relationship. That's a story for another time. But just know that I was put through the ringer.
You were in a raw space.
Super raw. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know. I don't know what reference kind of raw, but raw pain for sure. To the point that it broke me, right?
Yeah.
That I had no sense of self-worth. And mind you, still in my 20s. My 20s were a horrible time to navigate through as a little queer gay boy. So that being said,
In Brooklyn before it was gentrified.
yeah,
Add
I
that.
actually had just moved back to Williamsburg when the gentrification had already started. So that was
Yeah.
fun. Story for another time. Wait, what was the point of the story again?
How you met
Right,
the bro code breaking
Bro code
situation.
breaking. So yes, I was in my mid-20s, and oh man.
I know you don't want to confess it. I don't
No, I
either, but I'm
don't.
making you go first.
Okay. Oh, God. Okay, here we go. So one interesting point that kind of dawned on me as I was thinking back of this story was this was the only time in my life where I had a group of male gay friends. That was my circle. Right now, my circle is mostly comprised of women, but there are some men. But at that point in my life, they were all men. There was only 4 of us, myself included.
Yeah, you were a little pack.
A little pack, a little rat pack. And we all had different dynamics. But we had a friend in that group that was much older than us at the time. I think he was older by, I want to say, maybe 7 or 9 years. And oh man. All right, here we go. We're diving in, taking off our underpants.
Do it.
Like a fart in the wind. So we were we were happy for this friend because he had met this guy.
Yeah.
Right. He went back home, met this guy, and he would just rave about him, and we were happy for him, like genuinely. Didn't think much of it. We knew that he always wanted to be in a relationship or wanted a relationship, and it looked like it was happening. So at the time, said person, the person of interest,
comes to town
to visit.
The big city.
And we were just like, awesome, great. And so at the time, we kind of all worked in the same neighborhood. So our friend says, he brings him over to work and says, come meet person.
Yeah.
And I come up, I meet, and don't think much of it. I'm just like, oh, this is the guy.
Sup.
Awesome to meet you. Yeah.
Sup, bro.
Dude.
High five.
What's up? Sup, dude.
For any straight males that might be listening, we'll speak your language.
Yeah. And so I say hi, make nice pleasantries, go back to work. And then our friend is like, we're going to dinner after work. Come, join. Fun. Have dinner. Everything seems normal, nothing crazy, nothing out of pocket. Towards the end, at this time, I used to work at a nightclub and also had a day job. And so I was the only one that had the
access?
The access to stay up all night, kind of, sort of, because that was the nature of my job.
You were used to it.
Yeah.
You're that age and you're used to it. And if you work in nightlife in Manhattan and you were in your 20s, you ran the city. So
100%.
You were the best tour guide, obviously.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they asked for. They were like, hey, he wants to see the city. Would you mind showing him around? And I said, sure, because I had my day off and I had nothing else to do, and why not?
Yeah.
Sure.
Like,
and I love
cool,
walking.
Let's go hang out.
I love walking the city. Like,
Same.
I can guarantee, I've walked
Was it
all of
spring,
Manhattan.
summer, fall?
It was spring towards summer.
That's
like
the perfect time to walk
around
all
the city.
over Manhattan all night long.
Yes, and I have, like, to the point where you can drop me off anywhere below 59th Street.
Yeah.
You can drop me off anywhere, blindfold me, and then take off. I can tell you exactly where I am. I know
love it.
by number, not like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm in Midtown. No, I'm like, no, I'm on 59th and 5th.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I know where
you
I'm
know
at.
it.
So to me, I was like, yeah, let's go run around in this playground.
Yeah.
And so we did. And so we had dinner at like 8 or 9. So around that time is when our walk started. And we did. We walked around, got to know each other. Again, didn't think much of it.
No,
We're
just hanging out with like
hanging
two
out
guys.
Yeah.
Being friends.
Two bros.
Two bros.
Two broskies.
Showing the city.
Doing stuff, holding hands, fucking slapping asses, taking ass and taking names. You know? Typical stuff.
I love your straight man voice.
It turns a lot of girls on, apparently, so
Love it. It's perfect.
I'm doing something right.
It's perfect. Okay.
So
So
back.
let's fast forward to sunup.
So, yes, thank you.
Sunrise.
We walked all the way. We were in Chelsea, which for those who have never been to New York, that's like lower Manhattan. We walked all the way to Central Park, which is pretty far. And then we came back down the island that we ended up in City Hall. Now, for those of you who've never been there, City Hall
way
has
downtown.
like a giant kind of public park. And the sun was rising. It was like 5 in the morning. So the sun is rising. It's super beautiful. We had just walked. We've gotten to know each other. Again, I'm not feeling anything. I'm thinking this is super platonic. It's been a great time. Time has flown by like that.
Yeah.
And so we're sitting there and we're just sitting on a bench and we're taking in the literal sights because I've never been at sunrise in any park in ever in my life at
Not
that
sober.
point. Story for another day. And we're sitting there on the bench and we're taking it in of all of its beauty, all of its glory. And then he starts to kind of be mesmerized by these things. And I'm like, what is he mesmerized? Like, he's kind of like looking around and he sees these fireflies and he's never seen fireflies before. And I was like, how is that even possible? But yet it's so whimsical to him. And then it just adds to this moment that my favorite movie, don't judge me, but I'm sure you will, is The Little Mermaid. Like, The Little Mermaid is the reason why I have this tonteria.
Unrealistic.
these
Expectations for
dumb,
men.
unrealistic expectations for men or relationships in general.
Same. Disney. I blame
Thank
Disney.
you, Disney. Hire me one day, but you know what I mean. Thank you, Disney. One of my favorite movies, and there is a scene where Ariel, the Little Mermaid, for those of you who've never seen it, which is crazy.
How dare you?
The cartoon, not the animation, live action, not that. But there is a scene where Ariel is in this canoe or boat with Prince Eric. And the whole idea is that they're trying to kiss. And so Sebastian, her best friend, who's a little lobster, is like telling all the fish to sing. And there's a whole musical number. There's like lights and all the things. And then there's fireflies everywhere. So I'm thinking, I'm having my Little Mermaid moment right now. Like, what is happening?
Yes, everyone
And
deserves a Little Mermaid moment.
something took over where I was just like, what am I feeling? What is happening? It's all these emotions kind of rushed in. And so this is all happening in less than 24 hours, by the way. Like, keep in mind, this happened in like 8 hours. So all of this is happening. He was staying at a hostel uptown. I had just moved into Williamsburg, where I had just gotten into my apartment. No furniture. I had like my bed and my walk-in closet, because I'm such a gay. My walk-in closet was the first thing that was furnished.
Of course
So
Of course
I had that. And so I invited him to stay at my place because I thought, it's late. You've never been in the city. He's going to take... This is... I don't know if Ubers were around at this time.
No, they weren't. I can tell you they weren't.
I'm pretty sure some of you... I'm sure some of you weren't even born when this happened.
Correct.
Which is...
Correct. We old. Yeah, let me just sip break. It's not dead air. We're sipping.
We're sipping and reflecting on the passage
Man, it's the
of
equivalent
time.
like, I need a drink. Okay.
So he has to
old.
take the
Alright.
train, right? So I was like, stay at my place. He obliged. And we come to my place, and it was so cute in that I offered my bed. I was like, here, sleep here. And he was like, no, I'll sleep on the floor. And we kind of had this back and forth. And I was like, just sleep on the bed. We can sleep with two grown men. We can sleep on the bed.
God, you're so much better than me.
I was so innocent then. And mind you,
We
broken.
were opposite then.
And I think that's why a lot of this stuff wasn't connecting. Because
Yeah.
I was so broken that I didn't have the wherewithal to kind of piece things together. That's the naivety that kind of existed, right? And so we slept like normal people, nothing sexual. We wake up and we're just talking next to each other. Like, this point, it was super intimate. At that point, I knew, like, I was like,
You're
oh,
close
something's
talking like a
literally.
Oh, adorable.
And it wasn't awkward. It just felt so organic. And that's when it dawned on me. I was like, oh my God, my best friend likes you. My best friend is all about, my best friend could not stop talking about you before you got here.
Yeah.
And I'm in bed with you right now.
Hence the first violation of bro code.
Which so when I brought this up to you, I was like, I didn't know what bro code was. To this day, I still, honestly, that was it episode 3? Is it?
Yeah.
I had no idea of bro code until that very moment. I knew of it.
Yeah.
Right? Because a lot of it is very...
But you don't have you don't have like a pack of bros that you run with and compete for,
pussy?
right. Compete for pussy. Compete for the same dudes for. So you don't really cross it that often.
No. But also, a lot of the points that you, pointed out on the code were at this age, are very logical, right? They're sensible.
Because now it's just respect or disrespect.
Completely.
That is, which is the code. And it's,
Yeah.
I think the code is called the code because it goes a step further, where like you and your friend eye the same person in a bar, and it's like, well, do you know this person? Have you already talked to them? Has there been some? So with you and this guy that this happened with, with your friend, the one that you technically broke the bro code on, was he?
God, I feel like I'm on trial. Like my titties are so
I know. We have
wetting.
this bright light in our face. Like, no, but okay.
My nipples are wet.
Because this is actually going to clear. This is going to clear your name. I'm such a great attorney. This is going to clear. I'm such a good Jew that I am a good attorney. This is going to clear your name right now. They were not in a relationship.
Okay. Oh, ooh, ooh, wow, that felt.
See?
Oh, I felt that.
They were not in a relationship. They were not even. They were literally nothing. They liked each other. They hung out where he's from, where they were visiting. They hung out. They spent time together. Your friend had a crush.
Ugh, but he had a massive crush.
Your friend had a crush, and that's why it's breaking bro code. It's not a respect disrespect thing. It's
I
a
understand.
code that like you should be like, listen, I know you're really into blah blah blah, but him and I just had this whole connection. I just want to let you know. And then
Can I let you know? Because that part, that little
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you know, happened like 5 years later after the whole.
because he found out.
Well, I don't know how.
Right.
Well, I mean, also
Finish
I
that
think,
story,
Okay,
yeah.
so okay.
You guys are dating.
Yeah, so once that happened, like back
Right.
to that bed moment, things got very heavy very quickly,
Mm-hmm.
right? No sex, nothing like that, but I mean like emotionally heavy.
Yeah.
Like he got attached as I did. And so we went on a date, but it was crazy that I didn't know how to navigate telling the friend, the
Yeah.
brosen person. And so we never did. We didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And so we kind of lived this double life for like a week because he was only visiting for a week.
Right.
So once he left, I was heartbroken because I was
Devastated.
like, I'm having these feelings for you. I've never had this before.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, I think I was very vulnerable because of what my past relationship, because that was still so fresh.
Yeah.
And so he ends up going back home. And then like a week later, he tells me that he's moving to New York. And we picked up exactly where we left off. And
'Cause
we
he
dated.
fell in love.
He did fall in love.
And so you guys were together.
So we were together for a very long time.
And your friend never knew.
Never knew.
So you
knew.
made, in that bro code, you made a choice. And it
Ooh,
was
yes, I did.
It was the relationship over the bro.
And I honestly, when I think back to it now, to try and think, I'm pretty sure I probably avoided him. Like we didn't see each other every day, kind of thing. We saw each other when we had outings.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Nonetheless, I would still see him. I'm pretty sure I would have a poker face. Like I'm a horrible liar. I will be a horrible liar, but I am a great denier. There's a very vast difference.
Okay, yeah.
It's a very like
You're a good omitter.
I can switch the subject like
Yeah.
nobody's business. But when it comes to flat out lying, I'm not good
Yeah.
at it. That's why you bait and switch. Anyway, I'm pretty sure I did that. That was my technique.
Right.
I can't think of an instance where I saw him face to face during that time. I probably
Mm-hmm.
didn't see him.
And back then, you could get away with hiding these things because there was no Instagram.
No, this was MySpace days.
Yeah. So if
Rest
they,
in peace.
So if you weren't
MySpace.
uploading, God, I miss MySpace. But if you weren't uploading your photos a week later off your little Canon camera, nobody knew about it.
Which I did, honestly.
And if they weren't
But
in your top 8, no one knew that you hung out with them.
the amount of fights that would happen over a top 8,
So-
girl. Yeah. So that was
When
our
I
only
moved my
social
ex-girlfriend
media.
into my top 8, my friends were like, "Excuse me?" Shooketh.
Wait, first of all, you have to explain MySpace because there's people here.
That don't know what MySpace is.
Don't know what
How
that
dare you?
is.
I don't want you to be our listener. I'm kidding. Please listen to us. I'm kidding. Beggars can't be choosers. MySpace was
MySpace.
way cooler than any social media you could ever freaking imagine because it was just about being a low-key tech coder. Like you were a nerd who learned how to code by accident. So you could have a dazzling music playing profile and you could take pictures with your Canon camera, which came back in style somehow. I don't know why you guys like that now. But good for
did.
you. And you would upload it like a week later. So nothing was like, oh, here's my story and I'm here right now and posting it right now and everyone knows my business immediately. Nothing was like that. You were uploading photos a week later, a month later. The photos had shit quality. No one could see who was in the background. You weren't getting texts like, who are you with? Because they don't even know when this photo was taken. You had privacy back in our day.
Literally back in our
our
day.
time, we had privacy. We had, what else? Oh, yeah, we would rank our friends.
Oh,
We had a top
top
eight.
8.
And like Sabrina that I grew up with from Washington Heights that introduced us
Yeah.
a bajillion years ago. She was forever my number 1. And then, like at some point you were in there somewhere in the top few. Usually my girl crew, because back then I ran with a pack. Lone wolf now, back then fully tribed up.
Yeah.
Me and my girls were all over that top, and it was like who met who first, essentially. Like when me and Krista became besties, go dancing, she was always like number 2, and people were shifting around. Like your friends knew where they stood in your life. It was hardcore.
Literally, they can literally go and see where they stood in your life.
I remember moving an ex into that. I remember moving a girlfriend into that spot, and they were like, "Excuse me."
It was what would be the equivalent of that? I guess it's the equivalent of following or unfollowing somebody.
Yes.
Like if someone doesn't follow you, apparently that is a big thing.
Yeah.
To me, I understand it. I don't live by those terms anymore, but that would be it.
So imagine having, 300 friends that you follow and ranking them.
In who's
order,
first?
Like who's your favorite?
Like
your
shit starter. Yeah. Thank you, MySpace Tom.
Brutal. I'm glad that like everyone in my life knows at this point that you'd be my number 1. Like I'm glad.
Thank you, girl.
My girls all know that I spend the most time with you, so I wouldn't feel terrible about that. But when it comes to ranking like number 2 or 3, like you want
to say this now?
There would be arguments would be had. I would get a text. I would get
sure.
If Shay is not second, Shay, I'm calling you out. She would be like, "Bitch, what?" She'd be like, "Wife, what?" Oh my god, the fights that could ensue.
So you're right. So yeah, it was a lot easier to not get away, but kind of evade.
Yeah.
Because that's all we had was MySpace.
Yeah.
And so I did for that amount of time, and then
years
we
later.
break up.
Right.
Him and I, not the friend, the guy that I was dating, and so years later, I'm talking about, okay, so that's my second relationship, right? That ends, that we'll talk about that because that was a whole other situation that was very eye-opening to me, for both of us, but mostly for me for a particular reason. But nonetheless, years go by. I'm talking about 5-6 years.
Yeah.
And I run into that old friend who at that point, shortly around that time, that guy group just kind of disbanded.
Right.
So
Natural
at that point,
growth, growing pains. Yeah.
At that point, I was kind of with my other best friend at the time, and it was just him and I, really.
Yeah.
Of the original group, right? So it was like Beyonce and Kelly.
Yeah.
Right. And so,
you would of course be Beyonce.
I was gonna say Kelly, but sure.
You're my Beyonce then.
Aw, thanks. And so it's him and I run into him at a bar or something, and we ended up catching dinner. So we have dinner, and then he tells me, he's like, "I knew this entire time. Like, why didn't you say anything?"
Dun dun dun. It's very like novela.
Very just like like that.
He knew the whole time.
And I don't recall ever asking, when did he find out? Like I think
you didn't want to know. You were like, how do I get out of this conversation?
Exactly. Like as much as now that I think about it, I would entertain the idea of knowing how he found out.
Sure.
But I'm sure it had to do something with something sloppy in the sense of like me avoiding him or something of that. Like you start to piece things together.
Finding out that his crush moved to town from a
and never
faraway
saw
land.
him.
And
I
then,
don't think they ever hung out.
Yeah. I'm sure at some point someone was on MySpace like, "Oh, look who's in New York. Am I making you choke again?" Of course I am. Someone was like, "Oh, he's in New York, but he doesn't know anyone else here." Or does he?
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
Find out next week to see what happens to this little gay boy from Brooklyn.
Oh,
so
man. Okay.
we have that inevitable conversation, and at that point, I mean, 6 years had gone by. What I learned in my second relationship of going through that breakup taught me so much of self-awareness and emotional intelligence and so on and so forth. So at that point, I had the verbiage to kind of articulate what was happening at that very first connection with him. So I explained it that way in the sense of, I had no idea of the emotions that I was feeling. This happened so quickly and I was so overwhelmed. And of course, I just didn't have the maturity to approach you about this in any capacity. And so ultimately it was water under the bridge.
Yeah.
Him and I, much like friends of that are seasonal, they come and go.
Right.
They're still in your life, like you can say hello and stuff, but
Sure.
we're nowhere near as close as we were. Even
No.
then we weren't as close, but nonetheless. And so that was dawning on me as I was editing the other episode about the code, and I
about the
thought,
code. You're like,
holy
oh,
shit, I missed the
damn.
whole story
Yeah.
of breaking the code. But I think it didn't dawn on me in that moment because, like you said, I didn't know that code. I didn't have. No one ever sat me down and said, "Hey, this is bro code. You don't break bro code."
Girl, I knew the code.
You
I knew the code and I broke it.
All right, you thought my
Twice.
story
I
was
knew the code and I broke it twice. Ooh, bad.
indeed.
I broke it bad.
How bad did you break it, girl?
Girl code. I broke. Similar to you, I was just getting out of a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like my first serious girl relationship and we had many breakups, but this was like one of the final ones. One of the finals. And it was devastating. I was heartbroken. We fucked up. We both fucked up. And pride was a common. New York City pride.
Pride. I thought you said your pride.
No. Oh no, I had none. Nothing. I brought nothing but I brought nothing but shame to pride that year.
Oh no.
Because I was freshly wounded and looking for blood. No, I was just, you go out and you're like, I need to get over someone. So I'm going to get under someone else.
I mean, put that bitch on a mug. Isn't that crazy how clearly we had, yes.
How we spiral.
But in two different ways, in a way, right?
Yeah.
So for you, there was this like, I need to go out and
I need to
ride
go out.
someone on a horse. Right?
God, I hope you listened to the last episode. Oh my God. Yeah, basically.
And then
I need to
I
go out and
was
be a
just-
horrible flirt.
And then I was just broken,
Yeah.
right? And so
I was broken. We both
We
handled
handle it very
broken
differently. That's crazy how, I mean, everyone goes through that, but it's crazy how.
And it's evolved. The way I handle my damage has certainly evolved. But we're talking about me being
Wait, how old are you? when this
early
happened?
20s and just
Early 20s.
just out of control. Early 20s for me, I was a wild animal. I was a go-go dancer. I was not yet nude modeling. I was modeling, but I was a go-go dancer and just partying my life away.
Yeah.
And there was alcohol involved. There was a shit ton of ecstasy involved. There was endless nightlife in Manhattan. So many girl parties. I was done go-go dancing at Webster Hall. I think I was go-go dancing in the lesbian parties. So I was all up in the scene.
All up in the
Me
puss.
and my girl tribe were drowning in pussy.
Was your okay? I was gonna say
Loved
they're
it.
all lesbians, right? Your
Yeah,
tribe at the time.
tribe at the time were all bisexuals and lesbians leaning towards women.
That sounds like
we
a
were
biker gang waiting to happen.
we used to. I'm gonna shout us out. We used to call ourselves the Vultures.
Shut.
We had a name. We were like a gang. We had a name. We were like the Vultures are in the house. We would show up at Henrietta Hudson. I will not stop
right now.
We would show up at Henrietta Hudson and Stonewall and all these places and be like, yes, the Vultures. We had Vultures post on MySpace. Okay. We were such a little gang of a tribe.
You guys were literally a gang.
And we were the party. Okay. We were at the time, I was not yet comfortable in like the amount of boy clothes that I wear now. I actually used to care about what I looked like 24/7 back then. So I was like high femme.
Really?
Hanging out with a pack of high femmes. We were out, high heels, mini skirts, crop tops, hair done, nails did. Something about a Drake song. Like that was us in the club every freaking night.
My.
High femmes walking in the building, destroying the lives of every tomboy in mass we can get our hands on.
Just eating them up alive.
Eating them right up.
Nom, 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 nom.
Delicious. This is like after the breakup. Because during the breakup, I was very comfortable being in that relationship, staying at her place all the time in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what the scene was.
How long was
I
that
wasn't,
relationship?
On and off for like, I don't even know, honestly,
but it was
maybe
on
like
and
3
off.
years or so,
Yeah.
on and off. So, but in the bulk of that relationship, I was very comfortable being in her place all the time and just being me and her all the time. But when the breakup happened, I was like, baby needs to go out. Baby needs to go out, spread these wings and fly. And me and the vultures took over.
Can't with this name.
Vultures, I hope they listen to this and just gag because we really thought we were everything. So we were partying a lot, and me and one of my friends both see the same girl. Oh, nope. Wait. Backtrack it. We're in the clubs. We're partying. Pride. I meet a girl, and it's very typical lesbo behavior. I meet a girl, and I spend the weekend with her.
What do you mean you spend the weekend
Like
with her?
our date turned into 2 or 3 days, which is very common in girl world.
Date turns to 2 or 3
Yes,
days?
because we love to talk nonstop, and then there's also petting and sex and all that. I mean,
You just mentioned
met her at Pride.
that's like
Spent 3 days at her place.
that's like a 2-year relationship in gay world.
No,
that you've had in a
we
weekend.
were all about it. We were all about it, and she was also kind of recently broken up with someone too. So we are just living our best Pride weekend lives, and she introduces me to the crew.
Do they have a name?
And not that I know of. I feel like they probably did. I don't know why we did this back then. I feel like they probably did. But they were, I know that she would always refer to hanging out with them as like the boys. And they would spell it like if they were in like a chat or
Z?
something.
Like Boys to Men?
BOIS.
Oh, how flamboyant.
She'd be like, oh, I'm going out with the boys, blah, blah, blah. And they were basically a bunch of tomboy type girls or a bunch of mask type girls. Very pretty, super cute, very like trendy in style. They were all like adorable studs.
Wow, you guys are giving looks, style, and everything.
Everything. It was such a different time because now I feel like these kids don't care. But anyway, another story.
Yeah.
So I bring my crew and meet
The
their
vultures.
crew, the vultures, infiltrate this crew of beautiful tomboys.
The
And it's
boys.
like, ooh, looks flying everywhere. Ooh, yummy, you know? And my friend and I both noticed that the girl I'm going on dates with, dating, one of her like besties, hot. She's so hot. We were just like, wow, who's that? Like she walked into the room and we were just like obvious. We didn't even care. We were like, damn. And so I'm hanging out with her friend. So I can't really say or do anything.
Yeah.
And my friend is clearly hitting on her. And the girl was so cute. She was so awkward and like shy, like just adorable. Not the way you expect this like very sexy, attractive tomboy to be.
Yeah.
You know? And she presented more mask, but I was like, I look for the details. She liked to dress very masculine, and she had muscles. She was like, you know, but I was like, she has a lot of hair wrapped into that bun, and I really want to see it out of that bun.
And on my
I was
tits.
like, oh my God, she was in her olive tone skin. I was like, that bitch will look like Pocahontas. I need to see that hair fly. I need to see it. And so I don't even remember how, because I was like blackout drunk at this point. I don't know how I get her number.
Wait, is this it's the same night where you meet this person? Or is this like another like night?
It's like I've met her now a couple of times.
Oh, okay. I'm assuming this all happened in one night.
And I know that my friend had eyes for her, and that should have been free game because I was seeing
yeah.
her friend. But I was like, I need to talk to her. Because I saw her looking at me, but she was being respectful because I'm with her friend. But I was like, I don't know. There's a vibe there, and I cannot ignore it. I need to know. I was drunk when I got her number. I don't know how I got her number. I could have stolen it somehow. I have no idea how I got her phone number. But
you probably just went up and just like, give me your number.
I don't think so. I don't think she would have given it to me because it's like it would have been weird. I don't know how I could have just really stolen it from someone. I got her number and I text her and I was like, "Hey, it's Lee. I remember what I said. I said, I think you're absolutely stunning."
Good one.
And she was like, is this you? Like, I don't believe that. She was like, aren't you seeing my friend? And I was like, we've been on a handful of dates. Yeah, I'm technically dating your friend. And she was like, I don't know what to do with that. And I was like, me neither. But I just need you to know. I just need you to know. And then I did what you're supposed to do, and I stopped seeing her friend because I already knew that I had damaged that.
Wait, no. What? No, you stopped seeing her friend.
Yeah.
The person that you were dating originally.
Right. I start like...
You stopped dating? But did you
Yes.
break up? Or did you like...
Because we weren't together, so there wasn't a breakup. We were just dating. So
So
that
do you
was
just
like...
stop talking to her?
I kind of immaturely started ghosting. Not the long slurp.
That was just... I didn't do that on purpose.
I immaturely started ghosting. And she was like, what's the deal? And I was just like, I kind of have feelings for someone else.
Wait,
like,
how long after?
I don't remember. It probably just a matter of
Hours?
weeks, days, weeks. I don't know.
I figured in lesbian
In
world,
that time,
take shorter.
I had sort of, spoken to this girl, the girl that I had my eye on, the girl that my friend had her eye on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my friend was also flirting with her, and she just sort of didn't know what she should do with that.
She was caught in the middle.
She was caught in the middle. She was attracted to my friend and attracted to me, and I was like, if you want to pursue that, that was where I was like trying to stay in the safety lines of the girl code. I was like, if you want to pursue that, you should.
Yeah.
Because I just literally dated your friend. So if that's where you want to be, that's where you should go. And she was like, I don't want to be into you, but I am. So, and I was like, okay, what do we do about that? She was like, I don't know. I'm like, I guess it's wrong if we go on a date. She's like, yeah. So I was like, well, I'm going to be hanging out at this location on this day. And if you're also hanging out there, then we just run into each other and we're hanging out in the same place. And I just like threw caution to the wind.
Clearly.
Showed up. She showed up.
And you guys showed out.
And we just walked, like you guys, we just
Oh, no
walked
way.
Manhattan the whole freaking night.
I have to say, sidebar, it's such a nice thing to walk around the city.
Something about walking Manhattan on a summer night. It was summer.
Ugh.
It was early summer. So it was like 75 degrees at night, 80 degrees at night.
Ugh, so
All
nice.
night, walked the city, up, down, west, east, and we end up at a park. And we break into a playground.
Oh my God, stop stealing my story.
We break it. Like, we climbed a fence. She was tall, so she could help me up. And I was just like, ugh, love it. And we're, like, going down the slide. We get kicked out by some security guard. We're like, sorry, we weren't fingering or anything. We were just, like, being cute. So, and because we're girls, they were just like, skedaddle, you crazy kids, We just, bye, so sorry. And we just got out of there. And then we find this art installment that is a wall of Post-its with a bunch of pens and pencils hanging, and you can just write a note on the wall. And I thought that was so cute. And so...
Sure, was it a memorial of some kind?
No, it was literally a wall of Post-its.
Defacing a memorial.
No. It was a wall of Post-its, and more than half of them were full, and the ones that were blank were like
yellow
really
Post-its.
high.
Those kind of
like
Post-its.
different color Post-its, and people
Really?
it was like people were writing like love notes to people. People were writing like, I'm so proud of you, positive affirmations,
Right.
whatever.
That's
And
cute.
I was like, oh my God, we should write on this wall. And so her being tall, she can reach up and find one that is blank. So,
there were blank ones there, and you
but
wrote
they were up really high because everyone had written on the lower ones that they could reach, you know?
Interesting.
So I was like, shit, I want to find one. I can't reach one. So she puts me on her shoulders.
Stop.
And I take a pencil and I write. I don't remember verbatim what I wrote, but it's something like, you're going to be my girlfriend. Something like that is what I wrote up there.
That is so adorable.
And she was like, what'd you write? I'm like, I'm not telling you. Don't worry about it. Because this is like the first time we were hanging out. I was like, I'm not telling you. And so we continue walking the city, and we walk past a bar on the Lower East Side that we don't know to be a gay bar. And her friends are standing outside of the bar. And it was by the time we looked up and noticed that they were outside that bar, like across the street, like we couldn't run.
Or walk into traffic.
Right. Which is what we wanted to do. And I was like, oh shit. Like, what do we do? She was like, oh, it's too late. I don't know. And we're like, I guess we're just going over there. And her friend's outside, and she's like, hey, you. She's like, what are you doing with you? And I was like, we ran into each other and we're walking around. And this is like an after hours. You know what I mean? At this point, like, that's fucking late.
It's like 5 a.m.
Right? And everyone's just drunk and just in this closed bar, basically. And And her friend that I was recently dating is inside. And it was like, hey. So
And this is after you, like, after she confronted you about ghosting, right? On some level.
yeah.
So this is like,
And she knew I was into someone else. And it was like, surprise, it's your friend.
wait, it was clear. Well, it must have been clear as day.
It was very clear. And like everyone in the scene knew by the next day what we were like most wanted. We were villains number 1 and 2.
You were literally
Public
two
enemy
most wanted
1 and 2. Yeah.
for
It was
treachery.
We were like shamed. It was like she was on
shame.
the outs with her whole friend group for a while. And my friend didn't ever really confront me about it. She just was like, "Oh, snap." Like, "Okay. Yeah." She was like, "I don't blame you. She hot." I was like, "Right?" I mean,
But like I write on a post-it for her.
you know, and I kind of evaded the girl code thing cuz I was like, "Look, if you're into my friend, go do that." You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And she was like, "But if I wonder like if I had never approached that, she probably would have." You know what I mean? But I wrongfully approached that when I should not have.
Yeah.
But no, my friend was supportive of it, but it was kind of like I really felt like I broke the girl code on the other side.
For
You know?
sure. I mean,
I like ruined that friendship, you know? And
yeah, because what happens after that?
her and I were together for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
We were also on and off. We had a tumultuous relationship. The new one.
The post-it.
Yes, post it. Her and I were on and off for a while. And the off part was really that I was never over that ex.
Oh.
And she could feel that all the time, you know? And so it was like,
Will
we
you
would be
ever-
so good and then so bad and then so good and then so bad. And then she also had like an alcohol problem. And like, I mean, sure, so did I. But I
Yeah.
was a fun alcohol problem. She was an aggressive alcohol problem where I was like, you're not safe. So it got ugly.
Yeah.
That got ugly. We don't speak. Don't know where she is. Like, bad.
wow.
But I know that, like, oh man, we were the villain. We were the villain. And it was all because of the code. Breaking the fucking code, man.
But the interesting thing, I'm not placing blame. Let me just
Oh, I
preface this
blame
by
me all the
saying,
time. I'm my favorite person
like
to
you
blame.
were aware
As my
of,
therapist.
You were aware of the code, right?
Yeah.
That you were breaking it.
Yes.
Where in my case, I knew I was breaking something. I mean, clearly, I wasn't thinking of in that mindset of a code.
Yeah.
I was more of just like, well, how do I figure this out? How do I navigate this? Do I tell him? Should I, like, one thing that I think, so the guy, the second relationship, we'll call him Firefly,
Okay, Firefly.
our little Firefly. He told me that, we were just friends. Not him and I, but him and our mutual friend, I guess. Mm-hmm. And I guess there is where I felt a little, not redemption, but I guess relief.
Yeah.
Because like you said, they're not dating. They're
They're
not
not
a
dating.
thing.
That's how I felt. Like,
And
same
yet-
with my friend. They weren't dating.
And yet I, obviously took that and ran with it, but I still felt like, but it still feels wrong. It
Yeah,
still feels
it
wrong.
still felt wrong. It still felt like, I have no place interfering
Yeah.
in this, like, in this crush, in this situation. I don't belong in this.
Yeah.
But you can't ignore chemistry, or at least I could not. Now, let's say I was like seriously dating someone,
Yeah.
I probably could ignore chemistry. I absolutely could ignore chemistry with someone else because I know that it's fleeting, and that I am dating someone that I want to
Interesting.
date.
Chemistry is fleeting.
Chemistry is fleeting. I believe
Elaborate, if
because
you should.
okay, it's kind of like lust. Do you cheat on someone that you love for a moment of lust?
True.
Like, you wouldn't leave someone that you really care about for a spark of chemistry. You
But
can have
wouldn't-
chemistry with lots of people.
Oh, you see, that's interesting because I was just about to ask what was your definition of chemistry. And my, I guess, understanding of it, chemistry is like something that can be either short or long lasting,
Sure.
right? So, whereas lust, that's a very, in my opinion, experience,
Short.
observation, it's very short. Very
It's short.
rarely is it ever long.
Correct. Chemistry can
Right.
be long lasting, but it doesn't make you compatible with someone. So do you risk the person that you're with, that you're compatible with, for questionable chemistry that may not even be compatible.
But doesn't chemistry lead often to compatibility on some level, you think?
Sometimes.
Interesting, not all the time.
I mean, I have great great chemistry with friends. I have great chemistry with coworkers. And I have attractive friends and attractive coworkers. I don't want to have a relationship with them.
Okay, I can see
You know
that.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that chemistry can just be platonic.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't sacrifice some sparks of chemistry or great vibe or, fun banter for the person that I'm with. Now, back then,
Yeah.
it might confuse me. It might distract me.
Yeah.
I could be in a relationship with someone and then have great chemistry with someone else and be like, ooh, why? Is it because I'm supposed to explore that? Like I was such a little adventurer.
Well, then that makes sense. That's really fascinating because essentially what you are describing is something that I essentially experienced in that same relationship with our little firefly, where chemistry was there and something changed. Something started to dissolve on my part. And that's what essentially led to our relationship's demise in a way. Because, so I guess it is on theme. When I had my relationship with our little firefly, it was very intense at first when he was visiting. And then when he moved here, we still picked up where we left off. And it was a great relationship, but at some point, something turned on its head. And I don't know exactly what. To this day, I don't know what it was. It was as if one day, just the emotion. That's when I learned the difference between being in love with someone and loving someone. I can love someone, but I'm not necessarily in love with you. So I learned the difference in that moment. Or rather, I didn't learn the difference. I knew... Later on, I was able to put a name on it to describe it that way. But in that moment, I didn't know what was happening. I knew that my feelings somehow didn't feel as strong as they once were.
Sure.
And the way that I would visualize it is you're trying to grab onto sand, and it's still running through your fingers. You can't grab hold of sand.
Right.
And that's what it felt like throughout that relationship, in the middle of it. And I didn't know, I didn't have the verbiage, I didn't have the knowledge to understand what that was, why it was happening. And of course, as someone who was dealing with anxiety, it would cause anxiety attacks.
Yeah.
And when I would go and talk, I couldn't talk to him about it because I didn't even know how to describe it, but he would approach me, what's wrong? And I would say, I feel like I don't deserve you. And I don't know why. And it would cause me so much literal anxiety attacks because I didn't know. And that was for months, and it was reflective because I was trying to figure out, I'm a type of individual that when something happens, I need to find a solution. There has to be a solution to something. There has to be the root cause to it to then find a solution. And I couldn't find the root cause because there was nothing that he particularly did. If anything, when I compare him to my first relationship, it's night and day. My first relationship was so emotionally manipulative and abusive, it broke me. He was exactly the opposite. Too much so that I would even question it. I'm like, do you ever get angry? Because you are positive about everything. And
you know what they say, like hurt people hurt people.
Oh, 1,000%.
And that's like it's a clear case for both of our scenarios. We came from hurt situations.
Yeah.
And we end up inadvertently hurting others.
Oh, that
in
was
the process.
It was completely the worst because when it came time,
Tasmanian devil in that situation.
I was not a Tasmanian devil. I was an angel that just happened to hurt people on occasion.
With horns, an angel with horns.
But the day that I decided that this relationship wasn't working out anymore, was one of the most difficult things I had ever dealt with, not because of breaking up with somebody, but how do you break up with someone that you still love?
Oh.
That was to me, that's when I learned the difference. Not the difference. That's when it was very clear to me, oh, this is what in love is, and this is what being in love.
I've had to do that. Yeah.
And at the time, it was a horrible breakup because, first of all, I emotionally blacked out. I don't recall the conversation. It was a very long conversation he and I had. And, but I do remember one thing, which was kind of because he taught me a lot. He taught me about my self-worth and my own happiness, and that you can create your own happiness.
Yeah.
And it's all about your outlook. And he taught me a great deal of the foundation that I have now as an adult.
Sure.
Because of that relationship. And so at that point, I knew that I could verbalize that I felt it was unfair for me to stay in a relationship to see how I would then feel. Whereas he's already all in. Mm-hmm. We're talking about the amount of how heavy this relationship was this was my forever.
Right.
This could have been my forever. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't feeling it. As much as I wanted it.
Yeah.
I wasn't feeling it.
You weren't ready. You weren't there yet.
No. And so...
timing is a motherfucker.
Exactly. And I knew at that point that it would be unfair to him for me to stay in a relationship for what if. What if this works out? What if it doesn't? Mm-hmm. It's unfair to him because I'm holding him back from being who he's supposed to be with.
Yeah.
Because I'm wasting his time trying to figure out what I want.
Yeah.
And so, girl...
I know.
I know. Why I don't have a drinking problem is a surprise to me.
We need to sip. Sip to that. The
I'm sweating in my underboob.
You're sweating again. It's because you're wearing a jacket.
Because fashion needs to be seen.
Because fashion.
Oh, for those who don't know
therapy.
you're not watching, you should be. I'm wearing a mesh bodysuit and a leather jacket under these hot ass lights.
And I'm wearing a see-through wife beater, which is probably not PC anymore. I'm wearing a see-through.
No, let the nipple fry.
White
fry?
tank top.
Fly, sorry. Not fry.
But yeah, it's crazy the perspective that we get being at this age. Like I think about these relationships and these situations that happened, and I'm like, this is like 16, 17, 20 years ago, you know, like
it's another lifetime.
I feel, if I could have done this all over, oh my God, that I wouldn't have broken girl code. I wouldn't have destroyed that friendship. I would not have done those things. And it's hard. And we've talked about this too much on previous episodes, so I won't get into it, but it's what happens when you meet the wrong friend. What happens when you meet the wrong friend first? What happens when you then meet the one that you're super attracted to? What happens and being, you know, sometimes you can't control that chemistry. You want to explore it. And like, I'm glad that I didn't get into a relationship and then, you know, be like, but I really like your friend. Yeah. I'm glad that it was just a dating situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it still ruffled a lot of feathers and I still wound up the villain in that situation. And all of it started because I really wasn't over my first serious girlfriend. It all started because I was just acting out and acting a fool. The drama, honey.
For your mama, honey.
I would have changed everything.
You would have?
I would not have ended up in that situation.
Interesting.
Granted, yes, I learned. It's hard to say. I don't regret it. She was a great person. I don't regret having that experience. But I never would have gone down that road. After that first relationship, I would have just stopped and healed.
Yeah.
For a long, I spiraled out of that for the better part of a decade. Like I should have stopped and healed, and then I would have proceeded on very differently.
I think about stuff like that. It's always the what if. Could you go back and change something? And granted, at first glance, I would want to. I'm all with you on that. But then I think, well, how much would that change the person that I am today? Because... Right,
we need the lessons.
Yeah.
And you have to collect your lessons.
Yeah, and of course those lessons come through that heartache, whether it's self-inflicted or otherwise.
Yep.
And so I think, like I said, this guy was forever. So I'm like, first of all, I don't even think we'd be here right now. Like we wouldn't be friends because
we wouldn't have hung out because we ended up hanging out in like nightlife party time.
Yeah. And we were two broken people who were happened to be healing at the same time.
It's when we started going through our own individual healing journeys that our friendship became
blossomed.
A thing. Yeah.
100%.
Fascinating.
So I think the trajectory of so many things, like you said this in the other episode where I was like, is this Kevin Bacon? The whole connective
the
tissue.
1 degree, 2 degree of separation.
Exactly. And I think to myself, I met so many people through that first relationship.
Yeah.
I can say his name because he's no longer with us anymore. His name was Aaron. He was my first boyfriend. He, through a messy thing, his ex was dating my friend who I met, who got me into nightlife.
Yeah.
He was the reason why I worked in nightlife. And so...
And I worked in nightlife.
And you worked in nightlife.
And we connected then.
Right. Like, even though Sabrina
We met
was
then through Sabrina.
our... Yeah, we met through Sabrina,
Yeah.
but our... I guess continuation of our friendship happened because we worked in nightlife. So I think to myself, had I not met Aaron, had we never been in a relationship, I would have never met the people that got me into nightlife. I would have never met anyone that I worked in that nightlife. I would have never, I most likely will not have the friends that I have today that are
Correct.
my solids
Yeah.
because of Aaron. So I think, like, had I changed something, who knows who my friends would be now?
Oh,
Who knows who I would be
absolutely.
right now? So I think, I mean, talking from one analyst to another, that's where my brain goes. We're like,
Yeah.
so what if you can change X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, bitch, it is really complicated. Let me sit you down and school you what X, Y, and Z happens.
Yes.
So, long story short, I don't think I would want to change anything, unfortunately.
No, we would have broken the codes because we needed the
codes.
lessons.
All the lessons, but
Oof.
we know the codes, we know the lessons.
And we're grown adults now who are mature and respectful. Love that for us.
And we have our natural curl pattern. That is real
There
cute.
we go.
There you go.
I'm proud of us.
Good for us.
Our code confessions, totally worth it.
Yeah.
Worth it for this episode alone.
This was the longest. I think this is going on almost an hour.
We had to get into our history.
We should-
Well,
our
thanks for
history.
listening.
Yeah, thank you for allowing us to unpack this way and be super vulnerable. Oh my
I
God.
know. We're going to hate when this airs.
Oh boy.
How do we end this again?
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching. We put out new episodes every Tuesday on Spotify, and new visual episode every Friday right here on YouTube. And please like, comment, and subscribe. Until then, goodbye.